All right. So yeah, we're using zero tier. I've already put it in Slack. The website for zero tier. Go to the downloads and download it. Then we have a network ID. It's a pain in the butt to put in your phone, character by character, but for right now, there that is. And we also have this collaborative document that we had started using back on the second week. We're going to come back to using this. I'll put it down here as well. Zero tier. All right. And then I'll put this over in Slack as well. All right. So everyone should be at least trying to install zero tier now. All right. That should be fairly straightforward of just creating an executable. If you want to get the network ID from Slack, you get it right here from this worksheet. We'll continue to use this worksheet for the rest of the semester. And then I am not charging for some reason. There we go. Now I'm charging. All right. So when you install zero tier, it is in Windows. First, I'll show Windows. It's in the tray when you start it. You might want to go to the preferences and tell it to always launch when you start computer or not. That's just an option. But I am going to join a network. Say join a network. Check everything off. And this is where you put that 10-digit code. Okay. So then you'd say join. See that? It's a lot of folks, but you get the idea. All right. I'm already joined. I'm already on here. Then on a Mac, on a Mac. All right. On a Mac, zero tier is at the very top. It's this T with a zero in it, and you join the network in the same way. Say join network. A pop-up comes off. You check all these, and then you paste in the 10-digit code here, and then you join on Mac. Okay, fairly straightforward. And we even went over this already in week 6 or something like that when we did face tracking. All right. So what happens then is that on a PC, if you open up your command prompt, CMD, or on a Mac, if you open up your terminal, which is in your utilities, you should be able to do a quick network test. First of all, you can actually see what your own IP address is. So you can say network details on a Mac. And your IP address is this 192.168.192. You're going to have a different final number there. All right. On my PC, it's here at the bottom. Right click and I say show networks. And it's this 192.168.192. And then you guys will have a unique number. Disregard this /24. All right. So in our zero tier, we have our names. Mine's the very bottom, and I'm going to put my IP address right here. So if you wanted to ping me, and you could try it right now, you could ping, you could copy and paste my number, and then open up your terminal or your command prompt and say ping, and paste it in. And I can ping myself because I'm on my own computer, so that shouldn't be a hard thing. But yes, if anyone wants to find their IP address, just go to your network details, and then you can find it. You'll only be on one network, and you should be able to find it here when it says managed IPs. Again, on Mac, it's right here underneath. Oops, managed IPs. All right. Cool. So you guys should actually be doing this and start populating in the spreadsheet. Cool. So I see, yeah, go ahead. You don't need the slash. Yeah. I don't even know what that means. We don't need it. So now that I see a few, I can see that, for instance, Sarah's there. I can try to ping Sarah. I open up my command prompt. Cool. So my computer's talking to Sarah and saying, yeah, I can see you. I sent 4 packages and I received 4 packages. We're on the same network together. Cool. And this is the kind of stuff we can't do with the NYU network that we're able to do if you ping me. So if you want to open up, say, ping, PING, and then put in my IP address, and then you should say, it should send 4 packets. It tells you how many milliseconds it takes, and that shows the network speed. All right, everyone should be on. We have the same NYU network. It should just be the same way you log in at 370 J Street. Cool. All right. So if you want to catch up with that again, I know that some of the stuff, networking is not part of virtual production normally, so this kind of might seem out of left field. But I'm screen recording it, and if you can't do it now, you can catch up for homework, and then we can be able to be up and running next week. Any questions, though? If anyone's just a little bit behind and wants me to help out? Yeah. How to find my IP? So on zero tier, you say show networks. Well, the other way to do it is with your right with your command prompt open, both on Mac and Windows. Just say IP config, and it'll be the um, 0 tier 1 connection. So those two commands are ping and IP config. All right, so it'll be labeled as Ethernet adapter 0 tier 1. If you don't have it connected, one thing that if I disconnect my zero, so first of all, your status should say OK at the top. You might have to make sure that you are connected. Like if I turn this off and I wait a second and then I connect again, you'll see a blue screen. And on Windows, you have to say yes to that. Some people by default say, get away, and you have to actually allow it to be seen on a public network. On a Mac, it doesn't prompt you for that. It should just work. So your zero tier looks completely different? Sure. And again, we're trying, and I appreciate you guys valiantly trying. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and we'll get it working in office hours or by next week. Okay. So again, that was the VPN. Now, to make things more confusing, we're going to move over to SVN because there's nothing better than having all these different acronyms. So I'm going to go into the syllabus and talk a little bit about SVNs. So again, the game engine, we were working alone, right? Everyone was working by themselves, and you have it on one computer. And maybe if you were moving it from one computer to the other, you might be doing using a drive, right? Putting on your thumb drive or zipping it, putting your Google Drive. But obviously that wouldn't work really with a team of people. People are like, why can't it work from a Dropbox? And you get all these conflicted copies and it doesn't sync in real time. What we're going to be doing is using a cloud server that will host our project. And that cloud server we can actually check out files so that people can't work on the same files we're working on and then return them. And it's a system of what's called pulling or downloading the data and then committing or pushing the data back to the cloud. And Unreal Engine actually has it built into the interface that you can actually sync a live project. So just as you live work, it checks out and returns files for you so that we can all be working simultaneous. I never did version control when I was at school. It's something that I've learned because it saves projects and it's the way we can only facilitate their projects for the final here. You will get mistakes. You will have mistakes and you will have errors, and that's completely fine. Don't worry about that. Please just come to me on Slack and I'll help you out with them. you're in school. I want you to make mistakes so that you know how to solve them when you go out in the real world. And I'm here as a resource. Like I know kind of everything about the version control, and it's just because I've made every single mistake you could possibly make with version control. And so make those mistakes. That way you learn from them, and it's completely fine. Don't get frustrated. It might just take a couple more seconds to fix these things, but everything is fixable. And in fact, the first thing we'll do every class is fix version control. We'll see what errors are, what our style guide isn't matching up with what we want it to be, and we'll put things in the right place. And you'll see the role of a technical director facilitating a project and making sure that the artist can continue to work, right? So let me read what I have here. So version control is a system that records changes to a file or a set of files over time, so you can recall those specific versions later. You can actually use version control locally on your own computer, and if you make a mistake, you can go back to a version you had a few weeks ago. It's indispensable once you use it. You're like, oh, I never lose. Like, oh, I messed up my project. It's back where it was before. Unreal Engine, you don't really make a V2, V4, V5. You just use the same asset over and over again, and if you mess it up, you just revert back to the version from saved previously. And it's a new kind of concept for thinking, especially for people coming from traditional 3D. But it's a genius thing once you learn how to use it correctly. All right, so it allows you to revert selected files to previous state. Entire folders, entire projects can be reverted back to previous states. And then you can see who did what change, and you write little notes to each other saying, hey, I fixed that thing that you had, and I returned it for you. It's now moved here. And that kind of stuff. But again, the safety is that we can always recover our projects. And we've done amazing recoveries on the final day of class when something got completely destroyed and we fixed it. And you're like, I got to see the importance of doing that in a live setting. Cool. So we're going to be using, hey, welcome over there. So, we're going to be doing a cloud-based version control or source control. But again, you can do this locally so that you're just pushing and pulling into another location on your own computer if you're not working with other people, right? But again, it's going to be a centralized, and it's all based off of my domain provider will actually be our version control. It's important for you to know, especially if you're going to continue to work with Unreal Engine, what are the preferred version controls. There's one called a plastic SCM that everyone's kind of moving towards. It is the newest one. Is designed specifically just for Unreal. It's not a different version control that's been co-opted by Unreal. It's designed for Unreal. And it's it both provides the user interface, like the software, and it also provides the cloud for you. So it's a one-stop shop. The industry standard right now, and what Unreal uses internally, what I use for big projects, is called Perforce. If you haven't heard of that one, it's used a lot for gaming, again, for binary files. It's a lot more complicated, and again, that's what I do a lot of consulting, just teaching teams how to use Perforce. But again, when you see the beauty of what it can do, you're like, how do we work without this before? So again, if you just know the word Perforce, you're above most of the people who are just starting off. Github is one of the most people might know because of its familiarity with JavaScript world, things you might have done in your entry level creative coding coding teams classes. You have to use an extension of GitHub called LFS for large file system to accommodate how big these projects get. It doesn't, again, we're not working with text files, so it really doesn't, all the benefits of GitHub we're not actually utilizing, and doesn't really work well with binary files, so it's not really preferred version for us. And then the last version is what we're doing, which is a 20-year-old technology called Subversion. It's free, and that's why we're using it. The other ones are kind of cost prohibitive for us to kind of get into just for a bunch of classes. So it's very, very straightforward. It's very forgiving. Super simple. It's part of your, it's called a shell extension. It's part of your right-click menu, and it's really easy to use. And we'll go over how to do that today. All right. So I haven't created the project. All I've done so far is I've created the empty repo, and I've given everyone a username and a password. All right. I use DreamHost for my domain. It was all the rage when I was in school. It had Ruby on Rails, and everyone wanted to install Ruby, but I don't know what happened to Ruby these days. But one thing I discovered when I was messing around, as one does with their domain provider, is I discovered that I had free Subversion, and every project I've ever worked on is right here, is hosted in here. and I often host student projects for them as well. You can get free domains provided for, or sorry, you get free hosting for up to 5 GB, but as you guys have seen, Unreal projects get past 5 GB pretty quickly. Um, sorry, there's all the projects I've ever worked on. Our project is the most recent one, and I will add it to. Don't worry about anything just yet, but I just want to let you know where I'm going to put it for you. And then we'll put it in Slack as well. All right. So back to the presentation. We're going to look at, I think, first Windows, and then we'll do it in Mac. Okay. So yeah, I was talking about some free ones. People go to Assembla for doing SVN hosting. Again, I'm using DreamHost because it's part of my domain. Right? And so this is kind of a little screenshot of what I could just show you live is that inside my project, I've just generated everyone's name and copied and pasted in here and then gave everyone the same password, right? And what's important, why everyone has their own unique login, is because we get to see who uploaded what, right? It says, oh, this username uploaded this files recently, and you're like, say, oh, can you fix this or change this or whatever. If I have multiple computers, I might even make multiple logins so I know which computer I uploaded it from. You don't have to. You can use the same login on multiple computers. You can do the same login on multiple folders in the same computer. All right. So, and that is updated. Let's do that again, just make sure. Yeah, there you go. All right. So, how do we interface with SVN? So, Windows, first of all, it's called Tortoisesvn. And you go to the downloads, and I'll put this in Slack, and get the most recent one is 1.14, and go ahead and install it. And for those on Mac, I could jump ahead and tell you that it's Snail SVN Lite. You have to get it from the App Store. It's free. Again, there's expensive ways of doing it. This is the free way of doing everything, which is a little bit harder. But and as you can see from the names of these clients, Snail and Tortoise SVN isn't the fastest thing. There's better ways of doing this. They're acknowledging that's a little bit slow, but again, it's free and it's open source, so that works for us. Cool. So for those playing along at home, go ahead and install Tortoise, Snail SVN. I think with the most recent Mac operating systems, you have to like give permissions and like the preferences. You have to like allow it to see your folders. It'll prompt you for this stuff. It's not just drag into your applications. And then I'll show you how to set up a repo on both Mac and Windows. Again, we'll be using the same project for the rest of the semester. So if you can't do it in class today, I'm recording this, and you can do it at home for homework if you want to spend a little more time with it. So once you install these, they are what's called context sensitive. They're part of your like right click menu. So if I go to a folder anywhere, like I can make one just on my desktop called like delete me. I now have this right click context menu. I can do all the tortoise things, right? Same thing with the Mac. On the Mac, it's wake up Mac. That'd be annoying if it went to sleep on me and it won't wake up. Control delete. Control delete. I will fix it, don't worry. It'll be woken. I will go through AnyDesk. Which I don't know, I've never done it with this one, so I'll have to AnyDesk into another computer to then we'll figure it out. All right, let's go back to the presentation so we're not skipping any steps. Oh, there, it just woke up. Hilarious. So on Snail, Snail, SVN Lite. There you go. To add projects in, you actually have to make a folder first. and then add it. You can check it out or add an existing SVN copy. This is the interface for Snail. We're at the working copy. So everything we're talking about they're called working copies or underscore WC. You'll see that in a second. All right. All right.
Sorry, can you show that on Snail folder again? Mine's grayed out.
Well, I haven't really done anything with Snail yet. I just showed that it exists. Yeah. Yeah, I made a blank folder and let you know that I could now check out this repo if I wanted to. All right. I've already checked it out. Actually, I can do it again. Let's go to my Unreal Projects folder. And so I made a folder here. I will delete it and we'll make it again. So new folder in my Unreal Projects, and it's going to be called VPD. You call it whatever you want to call it, just as long as you can find it. Fall 2021, and then I underscore working copy. Working copy means it's the live one. I already have a folder for fall 2021, but that's my in-class demo, and this is how I denote that they're different. I go in it, and then we go grab that SVN. All right, just copy that. And then when I go back to my folder, when I right-click, and then say checkout, it'll auto-populate in what's on my clipboard there. Okay, this is exactly the way Snail SVN Lite looks as well. And let's do it over there.
The folder you made, you didn't make that any special way, right?
Just a regular folder. Yeah. So this one, since I haven't brought it on my computer, I'm going to say checkout. Put it in there. I got to copy paste it again. And then I need to tell it what folder it needs to go to. And I'm going to make a new folder for it. New folder. And I'll kind of be doing this the rest of the class. Fall is doing them both on Mac and Windows for you guys. Say select. And then leave everything default and just say OK. And then it prompts you for your username and password. And that's what's in that spreadsheet over here. It's under lowercase first names and VP123. So if I put that in here, say OK. I already logged in once, so it didn't prompt me, but you saw my Mac that it prompted me right here. And I say VP123. Say OK. Cool. Then I can find the folder. Well, it wants to be a little slow on me. Let's see if we can just open it this way. No, but that's cool. I didn't know you could do that. All right. There you go. Now you're woken up. And then it's blank right here, but on my PC, because I'm showing my hidden files, you'll see that there's going to be this little .svn. Basically, this will be embedded in each of the folders you make automatically. This lets you know it's connected to VPN. On my PC, because I have Dropbox installed, it does not show any flags. It normally should show like a green check mark or a red exclamation point if I have the most do have the most recent version. You see, I do have a little checkbox on my Mac. For some reason, Dropbox adds so many of these little icons that your computer runs out of the icons to put on the folder. I could fix it. We could fix it another time. But the most important thing is we now have a project. And you'll see that now my context menu has changed. We have two options. We have update, which means I'm updating it from what's on the server, and I have commit. I can push what I have locally, put it up on the server. Those are my two options every time I sit down on my computer and every time I leave my computer. When I come down to work, I always want to work with the most recent version. I'm always going to update. If I go to lunch, I come back, I update. When I'm leaving for lunch or I'm leaving for the day, I always commit so everyone has my files, so I don't have anything checked out. I put a mantra in our virtual production syllabus that says every time your checklist, always update pull first. You can connect Unreal to version control, which we haven't done just yet, and then always push and commit once you save. It's fine to work for a couple hours without doing this kind of stuff, but definitely don't leave for the day and check out like the main map and everyone's like, dude, what's going on? Where are you? You're locked the file. Cool. So let's jump in a little bit of Unreal and do it. So I'm going to show you how to make a multiplayer game in 2 seconds using a template that has been with Unreal since 4.25. The first reading in the syllabus, the Working Collaborative Unreal, is their walkthrough of every single feature of it. It's like 30 minutes long, and you can see a lot of things that are part of it. We're just going to do very specific things just for the sake of time today, and that will directly address what we're doing for homework. So I'm going to create the project that I'm going to share with everyone. It is part of the architectural, engineering, and construction templates. It is actually a collaborative design tool. There's a few other ones that do multiplayer, I think, but this was one we're going to use for right now. And I'm going to say next and create it. I don't need starter content. We won't worry about ray tracing. And then I'm going to make it called VPD Final or VPD Fall Final. And then create project. And this is like 58 megabytes. So I'm gonna load it up to the cloud. You guys are gonna pull it down in no time because the speed of the internet here is pretty good. So normally if you play multiplayer games, I'm not assuming everyone plays multiplayer games, but when I have in the past, what you're doing is there's a server being hosted somewhere, and you guys are joining a server, and you could be 20 people at a time if you're playing some sort of Counter-Strike, or there'd be thousands of people if you're playing World of Warcraft. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my computer the server, and you guys are going to connect with me over the zero-tier network that we have to play this multiplayer game. So again, this is a collaborative design tool. It's based around architecture. You have this gallery here, this little museum spot, and then we're all going to come in here and hang out together. All right, let me dismiss, sure, and let it compile shaders. Or actually, I'm just going to close it for right now. Let's do a little bit of hot swapping with our folders. So, oops, Unreal Launcher, you're so annoying. All right. So this is my repo, and my project I just created is here, and I'm just going to yoink. Now it's here. And this is something you only do when you first start off. You might have noticed that you have a bunch of folders in your Unreal project. The saved folders, like where screenshots go, it's where screen recordings go, it's where crash logs go. Intermediate folders, a bunch of other stuff you don't need. We're not going to put all these in the server. We're only going to put the important files, which are the view project itself and the content. But first, I'm going to mark for add. Again, you don't have to do this. I'm doing it for you. So this says everything can go in. Cool. So it's all been marked for SVN. But then I'm going to tell it to ignore these folders. So these are not on the server. I'm on the fence on the config folder. For right now, we'll go ahead and also ignore it. This is like preferences. So now if I'm making the first commit of our shared project. If I say commit, it'll list everything in that content folder but nothing from those other folders. Right, so only my content folders. Great. And I will say initial commit. There it goes. Now it's sending it. So it's added those things, and I'm pushing everything to the server. Looks official, right? Looks cool. Looks like my hacker. While it's doing it, I can open the project up again and let the shaders compile. Let's go back to the instructions. So we already downloaded it. You've already seen it. Again, you guys have this presentation. It's step-by-step for everything. We've already checked it out. You only check out the very first time. That's when you first bring it down and connect your computer to the cloud. Then username and password. And then this is the instructions for the rest of the semester to pull and to push, to share your content and get the content from everyone else. And then you comment whenever you make an edit. I said initial commit. You might say I added a map, added a whatever. It'll autocomplete for you. All right. Svn has instructions right here. Again, you have to give Finder extensions and your permissions so they can access your folders. That's only the most recent Mac OS. And then it also has checkout and commit as part of its interface. So, quite honestly, it's a little slower than I thought it was going to be. Not because I'm like way over here. No, that's our Wi-Fi router right there. Anyway, it'll happen. Cool. Yeah, everything's there. Okay, so let's look at this for a second. Shaders are compiling. Great. So what we have here is a folder for ArchViz that's just the assets, and then there's the collaborative viewer interaction stuff. We have essentially a couple of blueprints that are going to do some cool things for us. If I hit play, I can fly around. I can be on my feet and walk around. I can pivot around an object. Right. There is a headset thing. This mutes your microphone. Ooh, cool sound. You're going to want to mute it because we're all in the same room together, and it's just going to be a hellacious echo nightmare. But it works with headphones if you were, like, again, at home. We're at remote places. And then don't do it if you're don't have a headset connected, but you can do this all in VR, and you have hands, and you can do stuff there as well. You have to start it up a little bit differently, but it is an option as well if you want to do this in VR. And what's really cool is that, like, this ships with the engine. You can, like, use this with your clients, and we do it all the time. We're basically going to be doing location scouting. Like, you can create little wayfinding points, and then you and your client go run around your scene, measure stuff, move things around, and it's like a little design collaborative tool that's built inside of here. So if I hit spacebar, I have some options. They're really small. But the first, like, transform means I can move something. I can drag this and move it around, right? And then everyone else will see me do the same thing. I have annotations. I can write graffiti. That didn't work. Paint stroke. I'm making, a little grease pencil right there. All right, so we add little notes. Nothing is saved. This is all just for the instance right here. We'll be doing that in 2 weeks. We're doing that. Some other things is take a screenshot, go to the saved folder. One of the most important things is measurement, right? So we can say, okay, we need to add an asset. It goes from here to here. Okay, it needs to be 1.47 meters. And again, everyone else can see that in multiplayer. We could scale things. The most important one we're going to do today is bookmark. And we have here, we have some bookmarks right here that says second floor, first floor, backyard, front yard. And when you click on them, you teleport to those locations. All right. And those are going to be in the blueprints under commands. And then you see that we have all the different commands and bookmarkers that we're going to be using today. So right here, BP bookmark all the way inside of there. Cool. But before I add anything, I really want to wait for this to upload. Wow. It's taking this much time for 64 megabytes. Let's see about that. All right. So the next step is once you have it pulled and once you're on you're going to start working in the engine, you can actually use Unreal as version control while you're inside of the game itself. And this is how it knows the status of the cloud. That is on the top. Connect to source control. And then we are Subversion or SVN. You'll see here's the other ones, Plastic and Perforce and Git. And then it's the same stuff. Where's your repository? So that's over here. My username, Todd. I don't know what labels directory even really is. Password, VP123. And then accept settings. Cool. And now you see it's green and it says I'm connected. Now you can do things. You have another right-click menu where you can, let's say I wanted to work on the bookmark blueprint. I can do things like when I start editing it, it'll check it out and it'll put like a red check mark on my computer on the icon, and it'll give everyone else a blue check mark, and it'll say, "Oh, TJB387 has this file checked out." And then you get on Slack and say, "Hey, I need you to check that back in. I need to use the file right now." Cool. Just trying to buy a little time while this thing is just slowly, barely uploading. What network am I on? I don't even know if I have Ethernets in this room. No. I'm sure it'll download much quicker. Cool. While I'm waiting on this to get it in your guys' hands, does anyone have any questions so far where we're at? Obviously the big one was getting the repo ready to download, and then making sure you have zero tier. Yes.
I made for this and made like connected to the I didn't get folder, but when I right click I can like control that
Yeah.
almost not get the folder.
There's no folder yet. I'm still uploading.
Well, I got the initial folder.
Oh, that's because of hidden files. So if you're in Windows, you say show hidden items. So I always enable showing my name extensions and hidden files so I can kind of get in there and see if it's a .exe or whatever. Mm-hmm.
What was the hotkey that you used in the scene to see like the bookmark?
Oh, that's spacebar. Yep. Spacebar is a secret to this whole thing. Actually, fast internet is also a secret to this whole thing. It's almost done. It's too early to take a break. Like watching paint dry. We'll diverge a little bit. We'll do quick speed test. Oh yeah, that's super slow. All right, well that's one thing I'll have to address for the next class. All right, guys, it is done. We're at revision 0 now. I'm going to say okay. Now everyone can right-click inside their empty folder, and if you update, I'll go over to my Mac and do it as well, so we can see that process. If I go wake it up, you should be able to also right-click and update. I do that got that out of there. All right. So is anyone able to pull the project? Anyone seeing it? Right-click and update. Yes, you're seeing it. All right. Is it downloading just a little quicker? Hopefully. All right. So the whole thing should be 90 megabytes. It should be a non-issue. I've done this a few times and it's never been problematic. So everyone starts pulling that. Let me know if anyone gets done with it and opens up the project. Okay.
I have a file.
All right. Okay.
Can you show us how to do it on the backside?
I just did. I should have said it out loud. You right click and say SVN update.
Did those show up? Because I mean, I just have to like restart it.
I don't think it's a restart. I think it's the permissions thing. It should prompt you to open up permissions. I have it in the presentation that if you here underneath extensions, Finder extensions. So let's go back over to the Mac side.
It does show that it's checked.
Let's see if there's more than just that one. Let's see, where is it? So we have files and folders. Yeah, accessibility. I didn't see Finder extensions. I'll have to update the documentation. There's a new OS that came out. We'll get it working. But if you go up to the top, do you have this little snail icon at the very top? And you can do things via that way. You would first of all you have to check out. Yeah. So that's the first time you connect it to the cloud. You get this window, and then you put in my URL, and then choose a folder you want to connect. And then once you have it checked out, you should have the right click context menu for pushing and pulling. Cool. Andrew, has it? Anyone else have the project pulled? All right, there. Okay, so let's give it a shot again, guys. We'll do this a few times. I know this has been a lot. Networking isn't normally part of a computer graphics class. So everyone should be at revision 1. Don't make any changes. Don't make any sudden moves. We're just going to go ahead and open it up. I already have it open up. All right. Your shaders might be compiling. So we're going to leave this map. We're going to find another map. You can see right here, there's a little plus sign. And I have I actually checked out the bookmark. I can push it and check it back in if I want to. So there's a whole system inside of here. But we're not going to worry about that for right now. So if you want to, you can connect to source control inside of here. Not important for today. You can just push and pull. And that's fine using the Finder. But we are going to find a map called login window. Level. It's called login level. Go to there. It's completely blank. All right, it's a completely blank map with no code. Basically all it's going to do is load a menu system for us. Okay, so find login level and go to this blank map. And instead of hitting normal play, there's a down arrow next to it, and we're going to make it a standalone game. Okay, multiplayer stuff usually has to be a standalone game. So go ahead and try that. Get it running up and running, and you'll see a menu open up. And then a username. Be creative. Don't be creative. I wasn't creative. And then I'm going to host a session, but you guys are going to be joining this session. So you're going to join. And then you probably won't find my server. You might not. You're going to actually specify an IP address. And then you're going to put in good old 192.168.192.242. This is my IP address. And it's now in the Slack. All right. So we will go to Unreal. I haven't started the server yet, so this is where you would go, is to specify an IP address and put it in. But I haven't created the server yet, so I'm gonna host a session. If anyone is on that menu, you should be able to now specify an IP address, copy and paste from the Slack or from the spreadsheet, and somebody should be able to join me. I'm actually looking at you, Andrew, because you were the first one. Okay. Anyone have the project and have 4.27? That's probably why the internet's slow, because everyone's downloading 4.27. You guys didn't do the homework. That was the only homework we had. Okay. So what we'll do is I will pause and let's just take a break right now then, so we're not wasting everyone's time. We'll get this up and running. I'll show you the homework, and then we'll do some brainstorming. But yeah, let me go ahead and pause the recording, and let's get everyone to catch up. Cool? Like 10 minutes. Yeah, we'll come back at 3:15. Sure.
I don't know why my zero tile will not